Business Now. We are back and live for you from a completely different location. We are at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. This is what the floor looks like these days. It's pretty simple because a lot of the trading is done on their laptops. And now we're getting into the basics of it. All your questions answered on just how you can make your money here. We're here with Kevin Gige, as we promised you, as an equities trader at Genghis Capital. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks for having me.
Making time. Okay, so first basic question, how do I determine which stocks to buy? Is it based on the price alone? How do I make that decision that I want to buy? For example, here there's NMG, Stanbic. These are the banks, basically, NCBA, IGAD. How do I make that decision as to which stocks to buy?
So it all depends. It's an individual really decision. Are you looking for growth companies? Are you looking for dividends and stable dividends? So people get onto different stocks for different reasons. Some look at the stage of the company in terms of growth. So I would, for instance, say, you know, NMG, Stanbic, NCBA, these are solid companies over the years. Yeah. I want to ride on that. Okay. And so I'll ride on the capital appreciation or capital gains. Others decide I want dividends. So companies which are stable dividends, say for instance Barclays at 9%, and I'll decide, okay, you know what, I want a company that pays stable dividends and has been paying incredibly over the last couple of years. So yeah. Okay. It depends on what you're looking for.
Maybe people think you require some sound financial understanding and that you can read company financial statements and you need to know all those big terms like EBITDA. So what happens? Well, I mean, I'm a simple person. I have some money to play around with. So how do I then begin to do that? I guess maybe the first thing is the choice of the stockbroker.
Yes.
Right? How do I choose the right stockbroker for me?
So one, it helps as an investor to basically understand, you know, the financial statements, what the company is doing. But we are all from different backgrounds, you know, so not many people understand a balance sheet, for instance. So it helps to go to a stockbroker. Stockbrokers will advise you on what stocks to buy by doing what you call a risk profile for you. So how much do you have to invest? What are your risk appetites? How soon do you need the money? Will you have some emergencies here and then? So basically just do a risk profile for Yvonne. Okay. Once they do that, they then ask you, do you have preferred names that you want to look at? If not, and you just basically want them to advise you on the best, you come to us, we look at the stocks, we look at, say now, maybe you're looking for reliable income over time, and then we'll advise good dividend stocks or good appreciation stocks, you know, or good growth stocks. Okay. So yes, it does help to come to a broker.
And how important is that relationship with my stockbroker? So you know, in the beginning, you're saying you'll give me a profile, you'll ask me the sort of questions, what's my investment, what's my risk appetite, do I want something short-term, mid-term, long-term? But then I come in and you advise me, you have 5, 10,000, 50,000, put it here and here, and then I just go. Isn't it your job then, Kevin, to buy, sell for me, decide what's happening? What is my responsibility once I become a shareholder? And also my relationship with the stockbroker. So how often should we be speaking? Yeah. What questions should I be asking?
So a good stockbroker is one that you can reach, is on your speed dial, you know. It's someone you can call, of course, during reasonable working hours. Yeah. Someone you can call and they pick your call or chat them up or drop them an email, and they respond within reasonable times. Okay. So we have, I think, north of 20 stockbrokers in the country right now. Yes. And the market is over brokerized, if I may use that word, you know. Okay. So it helps to go to a stockbroker that one has excellent customer service, you know, has an excellent online presence where you don't really need to call them for simple things like account opening, deposit, withdrawal. You know, you can just go online and do that for yourself. If you have a question that you need to ask, you can just go on the chat box. If you want to look at your, you know, as opposed to the old days where you'd call them for them to send you your statement, your share statement. Nowadays you just go online, type it out, type your CDS numbers, which you had earlier mentioned, and you're able to view your statement. So all these things are key in terms of, and I think top of it is, even before we get to the fees, is customer service. Yeah, and it's important for me to also just keep that conversation quite a bit, right? It is. So helps. Not just to leave it. And are you the one that decides which ones to sell? Can you sell on my behalf without my instruction? No, it's illegal. Okay. So every instruction before I buy or sell a share on your behalf, I have to have written instructions from you. We don't even take call as a means of communication. So it has to be written so that it can be backed legally. Okay. So we cannot act on your behalf without
okay.
your
Which means then I have to be very actively involved, right? So once I buy stocks, it's not just, okay, it's the stockbroker's work to worry about what's happening with the prices. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask, so once you buy the stocks, and before we get to that, we've talked about the minimum number of shares you can buy in a given company. Is there a maximum number?
I'd like to correct you on that.
Okay.
Yeah, you said the minimum you can buy is 100. It's actually not true. You can buy a single share.
Oh, you can?
Yes, you can.
Oh,
we
great.
have two segments.
Okay.
So we have the broad segment, which you said, which is 100 shares all the way to wherever. You can buy the whole company if you may.
Okay.
And we have the we have another segment where we call it the odd lot segment, from the name odd lots. So these others are normal lots, 100, 200 going on. Normal lots are 1 all the way to 99.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. Limit?
No limits.
No limits.
No limits.
Okay. All right. So here we are. We're purchasing shares. Important to understand that when we're doing that, there's stock brokerage fees.
Yes, correct.
Right? And that depends on you know, the various stockbrokers, but there is a cap, isn't there?
There is.
Okay.
So we have around 1.36, 1.8, sorry,
Yes.
that can be charged on retail. So there are different ways how brokers will evaluate you, Yvonne.
Okay.
So you come to us, we look at first, you know, how much are you investing? So are you coming to me with 10,000 or are you coming to me with 1 billion, for instance?
All right.
So the higher the funds, of course, most brokers will
give you a discount.
Yes, will give you a discount.
Okay.
So there's that, and then there's there are a couple of things that the brokers might add on to in terms of customer service, how much it is, time they're spending on you, how much resources they're giving you, is it the research notes, is it updating you on XYZ? So there are all those, yes, and it can go from as low as 0.1 to all the way to 1.8%.
Okay,
yes.
but it's capped at 1.8%.
It's capped at 1.8%.
All right, and there's also taxes that I would pay on my earnings, right?
Yes.
Or when I sell. So let's say company X, I bought the shares at 3 shillings, and now I'm selling each share at 50 shillings, right? So there would be, of course, there's a profit margin that I'm making, but there are taxes that are charged on that?
Yes.
Okay.
So how it happens is we call them levies. Yeah. So if you're buying, if you're selling a share, say you bought it as you say 3 shillings and you're selling it at 50 shillings, we call that difference the capital gain. Okay. So there are levies we charge on that. Don't confuse me, it's not the capital gains tax that was suspended, yes? So the levies that are charged, they're called statutory levies. So we have the NSE levies, we have the CDSE levy, we have the CMA levy, guarantee levy, investor protection levies, but they're all very minute.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it's a whole list when you look
right?
at it,
yeah.
but they're pretty, I think the biggest costs to you, Yvonne, would be the brokerage commission. Okay. So for instance, I'll charge you 1%, the rest would come to around 0.36%.
I see.
Yeah.
But just important to understand that there are levies, there are taxes that one must you know, pay on that. Okay.
Sure thing.
So now we've purchased shares, we're owners of these companies, and we're earning dividends. What do we do with the dividends, man? You know, you get that check and it's good money.
It's especially due to this pandemic and every money coming in is
yeah, so you've watched a company give their annual financial statements. We've made a profit X. We're announcing dividends at the cost of 3 shillings 90 per share, whatever it is. Then you get your check. It's good money. In some ways, it's unexpected.
Correct.
What should one ideally do with these dividends?
So that goes down to, again, different individuals. As a stockbroker, I can't tell you how to use your money. I can advise, but ultimately it goes to you, Yvonne, on how you want to.
So what advice would you give me with the dividends?
So if you don't have an urgent need where you need your 100K, I would advise you to reinvest the cash. It's always best to reinvest the cash, yeah? So, but then again, there are people who invest for that, solely for that dividend, and they need it to do something else with it. So then it's fine. But the best advice that most brokers will give you is reinvest it into the company, which means your ownership of the company goes higher. Okay. Yes.
I know we're talking about, you know, when you make money, but, you know, guaranteed return, what are the risks that are involved that we should be aware of when you're you know, placing your money on several companies or whichever?
So one, if anyone tells you they're giving you a guaranteed return, if any broker tells you they're giving you a guaranteed return, they're lying to you.
No such thing?
There's no such thing as guaranteed. Only 2 things are guaranteed, taxes and death. You know, so there's no such...
like a good stockbroker.
Yeah, so there's no such thing as guaranteed. We can give you what we call estimates based on, because remember how we model these companies is based on historical information. So no one can speak on what's going to happen into the future. You know, Stanbic might not be there tomorrow. No one knows. So we can only model based on historical information.
Okay.
So there are no guaranteed returns. We can make what we call analyst estimates and say, you know, Stanbic today is at 10 shillings. We project over the next 12 years, it might be at 18 shillings,
okay.
but we don't guarantee it.
All right,
yes.
okay. And just important to understand, you could buy shares at say 50 shillings a share, and the value of that could drop.
Correct.
So that means you've made a loss.
Correct.
So what do you do then? Most people would say, okay, let me sell. This thing isn't making me any money when the share price has fallen. What would you advise when somebody turns on the TV and they're seeing some of those things scrolling at the bottom of their screen as we speak right now, and you're thinking, what's happening to my stocks? The price has gone down. So what do you do when you see the share price going down? You sell? What do you do? When I call you, I say, oh my gosh, something is going wrong.
So there are various things to do. Again, as we said, based on your risk appetite here, based on the profile we've created for you, there are things we call stop losses.
Okay.
That this is the ultimate, that once this stock, you know, I bought this stock at 10 bob, once it gets to 2 bob, there really isn't much room for recovery. So I'll just exit that stock and reinvest somewhere else. But normally on day to day where a stock has lost, you know, you bought it at 10 bob, tomorrow is at 9 bob, don't sell. That's what we call panic selling.
Okay.
Do not sell.
Okay.
You know, everything that goes up must come down, and everything that goes up, down must come back up. So we always invest, because remember, when we give you, when we tell you, you know, buy Stanbic and we project it to go up by 20%, it doesn't mean it will be a steep curve. You know,
so
we'll have those,
yes,
we'll have those volatilities, and you just stick in.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it a good time to buy when the share price actually drops significantly?
It is.
Okay.
So we call it leveraging. You know, so you bought it at 20, the share has gone all the way to 10. Once you buy it at 10, it means your average price is now 15. It's not 20. So it's always good if you have extra cash and the share, depending again on the company. You're not gambling, you're not betting. You know, depending on the companies that you've done your analysis or your broker's done your analysis and advised you. So it's always good to buy when they drop significantly, so that you can average your actual buying price.
Okay.
Yes.
So I want us to understand some terms now. So every time we do the business news, we speak about, you know, the NSE 20 share index. What is that?
So an index is basically when you're investing, you'd go and look at the prices of the shares you're holding. Yeah. So your Safaricom, your Stanbic, whatever. So there are those people who don't have time to actually look at individual stocks, or there are those people say, you know, in UK, we call them foreign investors, who just want to buy Kenya as one. So they want to buy an index. So an index is the price of all the 65 counters we have. That's not an NSE 20, this is just an index.
Okay.
It's the prices of a basket of shares, let me call it that, because we have different indices.
Yes.
So the all share index is an average price of all the companies that we have.
Okay.
So
all companies that are listed?
All companies that are listed on the exchange, yeah?
Okay.
So that's the all share index. Then we have the NSE 20. NSE 20 is the premium index, yeah? So these are the top 20 companies by market capitalization.
I see.
Yeah. So your Safaricom, your banks, all those are that. Then we have the 25 and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's some things that you see, you know, in shareholders. You see nominee account.
Yep.
What does that mean? And then there's also something I remember when my mother used to trade in stocks. There was proxy accounts.
Yes.
Like, so what is a nominee? Who is a proxy?
So they're almost more or less the same. We no longer have proxy accounts. We do still have nominee accounts. Nominee accounts is where you, Yvonne, as a client, walk into, say, Genghis Capital, and you don't want your name to be on the, you don't want the account to be open under you.
Okay. Or
maybe you want an account to be open for you and your good friends, you know. So you'll come to Genghis Capital. We will act on your behalf. So you are nominating us.
So would I have a CDS account in my name? Because that is a requirement, right?
Yes. So once you come to us, a nominee account to any of the CDS, those are your brokers or banks, yeah? Once you come to us, our registers will show Yvonne. Okay. So we know you are the client, yeah? Okay. But forever you'll want us to represent you, we'll represent you and our, so StanChart will represent you and our StanChart account, but we know the underlying is Yvonne. Okay. Yes, so that's a nominee account.
Why do some people not want to be known?
Different reasons, different reasons.
All right, interesting questions, you know, that continue to come up. So I want us to understand this because this is the floor, right? Essentially.
Yes.
So this is the board. I'd like us to understand just a little bit of what we're seeing here. You know, viewers have been seeing this the entire time.
Yes, yes.
So the security, obviously, this is the company. You have NMG, Stanbic, NCBA.
Correct.
TCL?
Transcentury.
Okay. IGAD, CIC. Okay. So what do these columns mean? What is this bid quantity?
So bid quantity, bid is, let me start with bid and ask. So bid is when you want to buy.
So the asking price?
Yes, the asking price.
Okay.
Ask again is...
Oh, sorry,
don't
there's an ask price there.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
yes.
carry on.
Let me take it. So bid is the bidding price.
Uh-huh.
You want to buy my car, you're bidding $1 million for it.
Okay.
But I want 1.2 for it, so that is my asking price. So that explains the bid and ask.
Okay.
I have 10 cars, you want 3. That's the quantity you want. So that's the bid quantity, and the bid price is what you want to pay for it. Ask quantity is what the amount I have to sell.
Okay.
And ask price is the price I'm asking for the asset.
Okay.
You know, it's important to look at previous closing.
Okay.
It tells you if the stock has gone up or down, basically the direction.
So this was the stock price
yesterday? Sorry, on Friday.
On Friday. Oh yes, today is Monday. Yes, you're right. Yes, Friday.
Yes, so this was the price as at close 3 p.m. on Friday.
Okay.
Then we have the trade price. This is the current price as we are speaking. The market is ongoing live.
Okay.
Then we have net change, of course, is the difference between that and that as a percentage.
I see.
And we have total traded volume or the number of shares traded today.
As at now.
As we speak, it's live.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So those are interesting things for one to know. Here. Philip Masangir says on Twitter, what actions do stockbrokers take to prevent money laundering funds being used in the stock markets?
So we have a couple of measures. That's a very important question, and one of the things that has disturbed a couple of brokers. So we have a couple of measures in-house as a broker. Say, for instance, Jenkins Capital. First, you need to know under management, we have a compliance, legal and compliance department. We are audited every quarter.
Okay.
But not just up above and beyond us, we have the regulators that also keep us in check.
Right.
So we have the Capital Markets Authority. We have the NSE where we are standing.
Yes.
And of course, the CBK, for some instance, if you're talking about bonds.
Yeah.
But yes, we have those measures in check in terms of we have to do the normal reporting for certain amounts, above certain amounts. If there's volatility in your account of a specified period of time,
and by volatility in your account, you mean what?
I mean, you know, over the last 2 years, Yvonne, you've been bringing 100,000 to us every month.
Okay.
For the next 6 months, you've been bringing us 10 million every month. You know, so there's a question we need to ask. Yes.
All right. Another question, and I'm so glad you're asking your questions. Keep them coming. The hashtag is business now. Jacob Matlala says, good conversation. I'm asking, what is the difference between share selling and gambling? Because we see how stock exchange falls in New York, NYSE, NSE, and the London Stock Exchange.
Yep. So gambling, I guess, is what people do, you know, when you're betting against Manchester United and Manchester City.
Right.
But depending on how you look at it, there's no one true answer for this. You could call investing in shares as gambling. Because again, as I said, we speak on historical data, which we call trailing data.
Okay.
No one knows for sure what will happen tomorrow, not the CEO of the exchange, not anyone, you know. So it's more or less, if you want to call it gambling, it is, but this is an informed bet you're placing on a company. You know, it's not those games where
you don't know which way it could go.
I think Man City will beat Man United,
right?
Then you end up being beaten 2-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
George Amondi is saying, are there quick gain shares? If yes, which ones? He also asks, how do I monitor performance of shares bought?
So again, 2 ways to do that. If you're, of course, you are under broker if you're investing. If you come to us, we always have we have an app we call Jikuze app here. So you go in, you can register there, you can check your portfolio there, you can deposit and withdraw real time. So there's a place where we have the portfolio and you're able to see how your portfolio is doing.
Okay.
Yeah, and sorry, what's the first part of the question?
Are there quick gain shares? If yes, which ones?
Again, quick gain would more inform to what we spoke about earlier. Guaranteed, there's no guaranteed. We have different segments of stocks. So we have what we call the value stocks. We have the momentum stocks for us. You know, we have the value stocks. So it depends on, again, your risk profile and where we'd want to put you. So we have momentum stocks, and that depends.
What are momentum stocks?
That's a Jenkins thing, so it's not an actual.
All right.
So
okay. So we have to be Jenkins customers. Okay, fine.
It helps.
No, I'm sure it does. Yeah. But I think also, just to follow up on George's question, is what sort of mindset should one go into? So, for instance, when people buy land, which is one of the assets that people use to make investments in, and you're told, you know, just stay with that piece of land, you know, speculation, stay with it. In 3 years it'll have appreciated in value. But so what sort of mindset should you go in with? Is this a long-term game? Is this mid-term? I mean, is there a possibility that I could buy shares in Stanbic or NCBA today? I mean, if you take a look at the net change of the price, it's what, The net change is 1 shilling 35.
Yeah, which is down. If it's red, it
which
means
is down. Yes,
down,
that's right. I mean, is there a way in which I could make money in 3 months?
Yes,
if I buy shares today, I sell them in 3 months, I make money, or in 6 months, or is this something I should be thinking about?
So when guys are coming to us, we always advise that if you're going to buy into a company, which means you're buying into their belief. You know, if I'm buying into Citizen, I'm buying into the belief the management have on the company. So it pays to get in long term, and it always pays because, you know, when you're buying short term, they're different. Say, for instance, the pandemic, no one foresaw that.
Yeah.
So if you went in and you went in short term and the pandemic came in, you're really in the red or you're really down. So it always pays. But then again, analysts will always do an estimation of 1 year, 5 years, 10 years going forward.
I see.
Yeah, so at the very least, I tell people manage yourself with at least a year.
All right,
yes.
okay. We're also getting in questions on our SMS line. The number is 22422. We're live from the NSC. I am loving the questions. I mean, I think this is by far the most number of questions we've received on any show, so we thank you for that. So on our SMS line, I have David who's asking, when is the right time to buy the stocks? Is it after a company announces their books, or I think he means, you know, the financials, or is it any time? It's David watching us from Pangani. Thank you very much.
Okay, good question. Should you buy before or after the company announces?
Yeah.
You buy after you're late to the party. You buy before, you mean you're buying into the dream of the management.
Okay.
So for instance, Safaricom announced a dividend of 45 cents. The book's closure, which means the last day you could buy the stock to be on the register to be paid was Friday last week, which was 5th, I believe. So you come in right now, yes, you'll get the share price at a significantly reduced price, which is around 36. It was trading at 39 on Friday. Okay. So you'd be happy if you bought it at cheaper. But then again, what's the next big thing that will make Safaricom rally? You know, so you might be in it for a while, and you might continue seeing it continue shedding. Okay. But buying before, it means you bought it at a reasonable price. Of course, management has done so well. They've announced a couple of initiatives they're going to do. The share price rallies, and you can exit with those people who are late to the party. Okay. Yeah.
But you can buy and sell at any time in the course of the financial year of a company.
Anytime.
Okay.
Anytime.
Another one here, I don't quite get the name, but it says, why can't I just buy and sell stocks directly without using brokers?
We might get there. We've seen that happening in developed markets. I won't be selfish about it. It's called DMA, Direct Market Access. We haven't, I think that question would have been best for the CEO. We haven't really gotten there because there are a couple of regulatory things that, and KYC things, especially when it comes to money laundering and all those things. So again, as we are checked as a CDA, we have to check you, Yvonne, as a retail guy, you know. There are all those political exposed persons, etc., etc. So eventually we'll get there, but we're just not there
yet. But for now, all trading at the NSC is done through stockbrokers. Okay, and there are about 20 of them. I think we mentioned that you can get the full list at nsc.co.ke. Okay. Joseph Mwawasi on Twitter says, can someone start with just 5,000 shillings?
You can start with 100 shillings. You can start with 10 shillings. As I said, there are two segments. There's the odd lot segment. There's the normal lot segment. Yes. So for instance, a share of NMG, as you can see here, we have the bid price at 22.85. Okay. With 22, say with 25 shillings, including cost and levies, you can buy a single share of NMG. Okay. So it doesn't really matter. You can buy a million, you can buy one.
And even with 5,000, you can buy quite a few.
You can buy quite a few at those prices.
For NMG alone. And there's quite a number of them. Correct. I mean, if you take a look at TransCentury, is at 1 shilling.
Almost 4,500 shares with your 5K.
There you go. Yeah. Yes. So it is possible to do it with that one. Here's someone saying this. Actually, they're not asking it on the hashtag business now, but thank you very much, CK Toromo, for sending him this way, saying we're breaking down these concepts. That's what we're doing. So here's one for you. It's from Clemo Msani. What's the difference between money markets and capital markets? Which between the two have good returns, low risk over a short period of time?
So one, capital markets is the umbrella name, yeah? So money markets is under capital markets. So we have different asset classes. We call these the securities, the shares, the stocks, whatever you want to call it, yeah? Then we have unit trusts. So what he calls as the money market is actually under a unit trust. And this is where instead of you going and telling your broker want to buy NMG, you just want to give your 1 million to Genghis Capital and tell them, you know what, Genghis tells you, give us your 1 million, we're going to put you under a unit trust, and now we can give you a guaranteed return, say 10%. Okay. So after the end of 1 year, you come back to us, we can give you 1.1 million Kenya shillings. Yes.
Okay, so I mean, just important to get that understanding. Thank you, Clemom Sani. We find you wherever you are on the interwebs and try to answer your questions. I think I have one more text message, and this one is from Chege. He says, good afternoon. When can I get financial ratios to evaluate the company while buying shares? That's Chege in Nairobi.
Again, very simple. Through your broker, but you can also go to the individual. I don't know what exactly he means by ratios. If he means projections and all that, the broker can give you based on our analysis.
Yeah.
If you mean the numbers in terms of financial numbers, the balance sheet and P&L for the individual companies, you can get them under nsc.co.ke. You can get them under your brokers, for instance, at Jengis, we keep a record of that, and you can get them under the specific company, say NMG. I
see, and for publicly listed companies, their annual financial statements are a matter of public record.
Yes, they are.
Right?
Yeah. They should. It's
so
illegal.
Anyone can go into, you can go to NMG's website,
and poke numbers,
and take a look at the numbers and make, an informed decision, right?
And you can actually go at the AGM and ask any question you want, as you said, silly or not.
Once you become a shareholder. Yes. David says on SMS, hi Yvonne, my dad gave me 8,400 Corp shares. How can I change them into my name?
There's a process. First, she needs, is it a he, she? Sorry?
David.
David. He needs to know which broker those shares are held under.
Okay.
We've had some of these issues where a couple of brokers, say Francis Drummond from Old Back and couple Ngenya and all those went down or collapsed or whatever, or merged or bought out. Okay. So you have to know one, the CDA or the broker where the shares are domiciled in. If you don't know the CDA or the broker, you can go to the registrar if you know that, So once you go to the registrar, then you can...
The registrar of
the registrar of the companies, yes. So you're able to go to the register of companies of Co-op, check on where they are domiciled. You go, then you start the process with them if they're not the broker who purchased them, and then eventually to the CDAC, and you can transfer them to a broker of HSA Jengis, and you can then sell it for you if you want, or hold them there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's also showing that these are things that you can bequeath. Your descendants.
Correct.
You can pass them on.
You can.
This is inheritance.
It is.
Good point to note. Joseph Mawasi has quite a few questions. I'll get to Joseph's first because I've asked a few of his. Admiral Kamwigu says the show is very interesting. Is it nice to buy shares or bonds when it is bullish? Oh, and that's another term I think we need to...
Bullish and bearish.
Yes. So, the bulls and bears of the market. Yeah. When the market is bullish and when the market is bearish, explain to us those two terms before we answer his question.
Let me be a cake for a second, yeah? So bulls and bears get the name from the actual animals. Yeah. So you can picture the bull here and the bear here. So so the bull will knock you by the horns and take you up, So knock you, take you up. The bear will pounce on you and throw you to the ground. That's where we borrow the names from. So bulls, when they say the market is bearish, means bear, it means it's going down or there's a slowdown. When they say the market is bullish, it means you're going up. It's green. Yes. Okay.
So he's asking, is that the right time? Is it nice to buy shares or bonds when it is bullish?
There's no quite straight answer to that.
Yeah.
Depends on whatever cycle you got the company at. So if the company is bullish, we've seen that, especially even on other asset classes, like what's popular now, like the cryptocurrencies. Yeah. When someone, say Elon Musk tweets and the shares starts to rally, everyone comes and joins in. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll make a loss or doesn't guarantee your profit. You can get it at whatever time, but the best time to buy is buy when they're low, buy when people are panicking, sell when people are coming into the party.
Okay. So when people are running out of this burning building,
get on it.
You get on it. Correct. Okay. Keegan says, what if I buy shares in a company and the company falls? What will happen to my money?
I'll assume when you say falls, it means it goes into extinction.
Yes.
So you are protected by a compensation fund and the CMA. Unfortunately, I think you only compensated up to 100,000 Kenya shillings.
Okay.
So if you had less than that, then you'll be fully repaid. If you had your 20 million, then the capital markets go into the next step where they take the company management into account in trying to salvage whatever is left.
Okay. Yeah. I have so many questions, but I think we'll take the last one, which is from our SMS line, 22422. It's Kelvin. Can we have a repeat of this episode? I missed a bit. Okay. We will definitely make sure we do that. Gosh, that's what it means when you catch the show at 1:15. So Kelvin, thank you for that. Anyway, we'll see how we can sort you out, eh? Okay, so let me have some final words from you, Kevin, on just what we need to know about this. And I guess we're here demystifying the thing that this is for those guys, the rich guys, the big guys, the ones who are 50 and above. So what happens to young people who are saying, you know, you want to do this? People are starting businesses, people are buying land, people are buying cars. I don't know if that's an investment or not, depending, you know, it doesn't appreciate in value. But what are your final words to everyone as they maybe consider trading here?
I think digitization has really helped things in social media. For instance, I have a group, we call it Jay's Kitchen, that we are around 100 or 200 people. And it all starts it all starts with what you're doing right now. You know, we talk about it, we demystify things. This market is not secluded to a certain age bracket. And you might find whoever is talking about, you know, that not our market has 200, 300, 500 shillings, 5,000 in an account that just is there. So instead of that money staying there, let your money work for you. That is the way of a smart investor. So whatever you have, and remember, this is not somewhere where you're locked. You can buy, again, as we said, anytime. The trading cycle is T+3. You buy today, you can be able to sell it on Thursday.
Okay.
Yes.
Within 3 days?
Within 3 days,
okay.
Yeah. Because there needs to buy, there needs to be exchange of funds, and then shares again move, and then they're now in your account. Yeah. So any cash you have that is not of immediate use or immediate need, just put it into an investment. You know, you can buy these, you can buy a unit trust, you can buy wherever. When you go to your broker, they'll advise you on all sorts of things. Do not leave your cash idle.
What else can I say? Kevin, thank you so much. Kevin Gige, who's an equities trader at Genghis Capital. Thank you so much. Do not leave your money idle. That's what Business Now is all about. I really thank you. Many thanks to you. And many thanks as well to the Nairobi Securities Exchange, the CEO, Jeff Odundo, for making the time here for us, for hosting us. This is what the floor looks like now. It used to be a lot more vibrant. If you're old enough to remember, that depends. So thank you. I hope you've learned a thing or two. Remember, that's what this show is all about. We will see you again next week. As for you, Kelvin, hoping for a repeat of the episode. Let me ask my bosses about that, and see what we can do about having a repeat of this show. So listen, thank you so much. The questions are way more than we could handle, but we'll definitely consider coming here again. Remember, today we've only talked about stocks. There's so many other things that are traded here at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So we'll definitely come back and tell you a lot more about that. Thank you for watching. The hashtag, as always, is Business Now. I hope you now have the tools to help you make money, which is all Business Now, is what it's all about. Have a good afternoon, everybody. I'm Yvonne Okwara Matole. Bye-bye.
Kwa majina yangu naitwa Clarice Atieno Laja. Mimi ni Secretary Maendeleo ya Wanawake Mvita Sub-County. Nairobi Stock Exchange, huwa naona kwenye TV, lakini wasijatia sitofahamu, yani ya kutaka kujua sana ni mambo gani ambayo yanaendelea hapo ndani. Ningependa hii Nairobi Stock Exchange isiwe tu kwenye TV, kama kungekuwa na uwezekano iwe kama hamasisho la kuja mpaka huku chini mashinani, ili watu wote waweze kujua maana yake na wanafanya nini na ni kitu kuhusu kitu gani.
Okay. Na ungependa kitu gani iongezwe katika stock market?
Unless uniambie stock market ni kitu gani ili iweze kuchangia. Unajua kama mtu huwezi changia kitu kingine. Unless unaweza kutumia na kama ni vocabulary, unless you simplify hiyo word. Naweza nikielewa.
Stock market work through this selling shares of its investment. The capital investment is all a stock. That is how the stock market works in competition with the others. Yeah.
Ungependa kujua nini kutokana na stock market?
At all times, if I'm interested in stock market exchanges, then I need to know the rates at which the shares are selling.
Will you invest your money in the stock market?
Of course, yes. If I'm interested in making an extra cash in the stock market capital, then I need to be keeping vigil at how the exchange rates are moving around. Then it's good to buy and know what time to sell.